Hello, welcome to Women's Financial Empowerment Group. I'm your host, Ruth Agbeloso. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. If this is your first time, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. If you've been here before, thank you so much for your support. Please go ahead and like, share, do all those wonderful things, and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know whenever I upload a new video. You know, on this channel, we discuss all things money mindset, making money, saving money, investing money, and more. So please come back to hear what I have in store for you. Now, on today's video, I have a special guest, and we're going to be talking about building wealth with trading stocks. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome in my friend from the Stock Sisterhood, Monga Abila. Hi, Monga, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We've been wanting to do this for some time now, and we're both busy moms, high achieving moms, so it's so hard for us to pin down a schedule, but you're here, and I'm so excited about that. So I just told my audience that we have a special guest, and I told them your name. So I'm going to leave it to you to tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you again for having me. This is truly an opportunity that I've been looking forward to after meeting you in Atlanta last weekend. That was a really, really fun time. So my name is Monga Abila. I'm originally from Zambia, Central Africa. I now live in California with my husband and our two daughters, aged 12 and 14. And I've been in California. I came to California for college a long time ago. And then I ended up settling in California and making a family here.
Awesome. Very good. Awesome. So today we're going to talk about building wealth by trading stocks. And I'm really excited about that topic. I know that in my group, my private Facebook group, and everywhere that I speak to women, trading stocks is something that women don't even want to talk about. They're still kind of hung up over investing. So I'm hoping that this talk today makes people a little bit more comfortable with investing in general, but also want to dip their waters into trading, because honestly, there's so much money to be made. And I believe that women are missing out. Women in general are missing out because of fear and other things. So I really hope that this talk will help them. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I really am thankful for this opportunity, because it really is my passion to sort of demystify the stock market, especially for women. I think women historically maybe haven't been as exposed to the market as men. So it really is my passion to teach women that, hey, the stock market is available for anyone who's willing to try. So I'm a trader in the stock market, which means that I trade to make short-term gains, right? I trade to make short-term gains, and then you can take those short-term gains and put them into longer-term investments to build kind of like that long-term wealth. So I am what you call a day and a swing trader. So for those of you who may be new, let me explain the difference between day trading and swing trading. So day trading is when you buy an asset, say you buy 100 shares of Apple stock in the morning when the market opens, and then you sell the same day. So say, for example, I buy 100 shares of Apple at $140. It goes up to $145 during the course of the day, and then I sell before the trading day closes. That's called a day trade.
Okay, so hold on one second. Let me just make sure that we're all clear on this. So you can actually buy stock in a company and then sell it on the same day.
Exactly. And that is called a day trade.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure that I'm clear about that. All right. Awesome.
No, wonderful.
Go ahead with swing trade.
And then swing trading is when I buy today. I buy 100 shares of Apple today, and then I hold at least overnight, and then I sell tomorrow, next week, next month. Anything up to a year is considered a swing trade. So there's day trading where I buy and sell the same day, and then swing trading is when I hold at least overnight and sell. Anything up to a year is considered a swing trade. Beyond a year is considered long-term investing or buy and hold.
Oh, okay. I'm glad that you pointed that out. I'm a traditional investor just now. doesn't mean I'll always be only a traditional investor. So I like to have the professionals explain it because I believe that you did an excellent job. It's super clear in my mind, the difference between those two. So thank you for that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So that's what I do. And then also just for clarification, you can day swing and have long-term investments on the same company. So for example, Apple is one of my favorite companies. I love Apple. It's one of my favorite companies. So I day trade Apple, I swing trade Apple, and then I also have Apple in my long-term portfolio for the longer term. So you don't have to choose which strategy you're going to do on the company. You can do all three on the same company.
Okay, that's awesome. I didn't realize that you could do all three on one company, but I guess it makes sense. I guess that makes sense. So thank you so much for sharing that. So you started a company called the Stock Sisterhood, right? So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what the Stock Sisterhood is. Before you do that, can you tell us why did you start day trading and swing trading? Like what led you to start doing that?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that question. So really the center of my story is my 12-year-old daughter. Oh, she's now 14, but she was 12 at the time. So even though I've been in the market for about 15 years. So I was buying and selling more for the longer term. But of course, in the beginning, I didn't quite know what I was doing. I would just go on Yahoo Finance, or I would read up about some stocks that were supposedly going to do well in the future. So I would buy and sell. And sometimes I make money, sometimes I wouldn't. Over the years, I got better at buying into quality companies. So from probably about 15 years ago, I was just buying for the longer term. But then when COVID hit, I was working at a cancer hospital. I'm a nurse by skill. So I was working in a field called clinical informatics. So it's kind of like healthcare technology. So I was working at a cancer hospital when COVID hit. And we were sent to work at home, and then my kids were sent home from school as well. Now, if you have any experience, my daughter, my 14-year-old, has autism. So if you have any experience with trying to teach a special, trying to implement a special needs curriculum, it is quite difficult. So I was working at home in this quite demanding role. Because I was working at a cancer hospital, COVID was in the headlines, but the reality is there are still patients who needed treatment. Right. So being that we're working at a cancer hospital, there was so much going back and forth. Nobody knew what COVID was. Nobody knew how long it was going to last. So it was a very, very stressful and chaotic time. In my role, it was raining meetings, it was raining emails, and it was just so incredibly stressful. So I was working at home while also trying to take care of my kids. And I remember one time taking a meeting in the bathroom, because it was an impromptu meeting. And I took this meeting in the bathroom, and I was literally trying to shove my daughter outside the bathroom because she's, being that exactly right. So being that she's autistic, she doesn't understand that mommy's not available. I have to get into a meeting. So the closest place for privacy was the bathroom. I shut myself in there. Because it was an impromptu meeting, they were asking me questions that I had no clue about. Like, I did not know what was going on. So here I was in the meeting. I have no clue what's going on. My daughter's trying to get in the bathroom. So it was one of those moments, Ruth, where I felt like just an all-around failure. Okay. I was failing at the job because I sucked at this meeting. I was failing at mom because I was pushing my daughter out of the room. And I said to myself, Monga, you can't do this. This is absolute crazy making. So I ended up taking a leave of absence because I could, being that I have a special needs daughter. My cousin, who's in HR, said, call your job and see if that you can get some kind of leave. So I was able to. And during that time is when I learned how to trade for an income. So yeah, I remember. So day and swing trading is when you're trading for an income. Okay. And then long term, if you hold for more than a year, then that's considered long-term wealth building. So I started to learn how to trade for an income because I was like, I gotta find another way to make money because I'm not doing this. I couldn't, I physically couldn't. I was so stressed out. My skin was breaking out, my hair was falling out. It was just a really bad situation. So I told myself, I've got to learn something different. So I then took the class and then I started practicing day trading where I'd buy and sell for the shorter term. And Ruth, the epiphany came from me when in one trade, I was able to make my entire 2-week check
Wow.
in a single trade. And being that I was a 6-figure earner because, I was in a pretty high paying position, but I was able to make my 2-week check in a single trade. So 80 hours of work for pressing buttons on my phone. I think I'll take
That's a no-brainer. That is a no-brainer. Definitely.
So I perfected my craft and I was able to, stop working in December of 2021. Yes, December of 2021, I actually quit my job and I was able to, quit and trade full time. And then people were asking me to teach them what I was doing because all of a sudden I was traveling more. All of a sudden I was just really excited to talk about the stock market. But then I realized that this is not something you can teach somebody over coffee. So I actually built a course. So now I'm in the situation where I trade full time myself, but I also teach women how to trade on the stock market so they too can kind of build that financial cushion or just a little bit of money to supplement their budgets.
Okay, awesome. I love your story. I mean, it's funny how out of something so terrible, good things can come. And I think that's one of the lessons that we learned from that pandemic was that something good can come out of this if you don't give up. So that was awesome. But one thing that I wanted to pinpoint that you shared is some of the suffering that you went through working a job and trying to care for your family at the same time and doing all that stuff. And I think most of my viewers could relate to that because most of them are high achieving moms like yourself. And so they're burning out. And one of the things I teach in my program is how to build wealth without burning out, because so many of our women are just suffering from diseases, losing hair, losing sleep, all this stuff, trying to build wealth. So I think it's a wonderful thing that you recognize the problem and you had something, you decided to make a shift to change your family's life. So that is just really awesome. And then you also shared that, hey, if you know something, you want to share it with other people. So that is awesome. So I'm assuming that's how the Stock Sisterhood was born?
Yes. So the Stock Sisterhood is the name of the course. It's the Stock Sisterhood Trading Academy. And I wanted to tack on to what you said about high achieving women having so much on their plate. So for me, it's having a special needs child, but a lot of us have at the age where we have aging parents, right? We have aging parents. We could have, maybe a spouse who's not well. All of these things that just put so much pressure on us. And as women, we have a running list in our heads all the time. Who needs the new shoes? Who needs the day pass, the school trip signed for? Who needs this? Who needs that? All of these all the things are always running. And then on top of that, you have a job, right? So, if you can find another way to make money outside of your job, it takes so much of that pressure down. It releases the pressure because you're thinking, okay, you know what? I have breathing room in my budget to get somebody to clean my house.
Yes.
To get somebody to help me with the kids once in a while, get somebody so I can go on a date night, whatever it is, but just create that breathing room in your budget so you can release the pressure.
Yes.
We're under so much pressure all the time. We need to release the pressure.
Yes, I love, you know what, can we just stop for a second and just meditate on that for a minute? Release the pressure. If that is not a word, you just gave a whole sermon in that. Release the pressure. I think that is so deep that release the pressure. Yeah. Because you hit the nail on the head. Pressure. That's why I go hard with preaching about building wealth and about doing it in a way that you're not burning out, and the importance of building wealth to begin with. Because when you have all that pressure and you can't release it, it can lead to disease.
Oh, for sure.
And that's why so many women are suffering, because they're not building their wealth, so they don't have the resources to relieve some of that pressure. Like you said, I mean, having someone else be able to come and clean for you so that you can focus on the task at hand and you're not doing 50 million things. You know, you see the memes or the graphics with the woman that has the broom, and she has the book, and she has the phone, and she has and she has like 50 arms trying to do all the things. And it's like, oh my gosh, no wonder why we're so sick. No wonder why we're so unhappy. And another part of it that you didn't mention is just that idea of being able to live your dreams too. Because so many of us as moms, to be honest, we put our dreams on the back burner to raise our families, some of us to be good wives. You know, we kind of put those dreams of having more for our lives. We put it on the back burner to do all those things, but we don't have to. And you're living proof that we don't have to. So I'm not going to go more into that. I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about the Stock Sisterhood. Tell us a little bit more about that, and take it from there.
So I want to mention too, just to extend a little bit what you said about being able to pursue passion. If you release the pressure a little bit, you can pursue passion. So for me, I didn't even know I had a passion for teaching.
Wow.
So that was, oh my goodness, you don't understand, Ruth, how beautiful it is, or how great I feel when somebody that I taught makes money. So talk about finding, yes, you do know the feeling. So talk about, the passion. Sometimes because you're so busy doing all these other things, you don't even know what your passion is. Yes. So if you have a way to build your wealth, in a long-term fashion, or your day trading, whatever it is, if you have a way to build your wealth, then you can pursue those passions, right? And find out, like me, that you love teaching so much. So the Stock Sisterhood Trading Academy, currently I have about 50, 55 women that are in my program. So what we do is I teach them how to, essentially, I start from the very beginning. What is the S&P? You hear these words thrown around, the S&P, the Dow Jones, well, all of that stuff. What does it mean? So I start from the very beginning. I teach them how to read charts. Really the main way to make money in the stock market is that you have to know how to read charts. So we look at certain things on the chart. A chart is essentially, it shows stock price moving over time. So this is the stock price moving, and this is time. So we look at certain formations on the chart that tell us it's a good place to buy and a good place to sell. So I teach how to read charts. So once you, yes.
Sorry to cut you. I have a question about that, because some of my high achieving moms didn't go to college, but they are high achieving. They make good money. They're rocking it. So I'm just wondering, like, is that something that someone who didn't go to college can be able to do? Can they read charts?
Oh, absolutely. 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 There are people who didn't go to college that are making millions of dollars in the stock market. So no, not at all. It is anybody who's willing to try can completely learn. And then another thing too, is that a lot of my students are moms, busy moms. They work jobs. So they're busy. They have full-time jobs, but they're still able to learn. Right. So it is not, the learning curve is not so steep that it would be prohibitive for anyone to learn. Trust me. Anyone can learn if you put in the time.
Okay, that's good to know, because that's one of the things that I hear from moms, is that they just can't find the time to do one more thing, even though they don't realize that the things that they're doing currently are not helping them. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, because that's what the question will be like. Oh my gosh, like, I don't have time to do another thing. So thanks for pointing that out. Sorry, I had to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure that the viewers know that, yes, you can do this with a high school diploma or whatever, wherever you are, you can learn this. Go ahead.
1000%, 1000%. You can learn if you have a full-time job, and you can learn if you don't have a college degree. Absolutely. So I learned how to read. I teach how to read charts. I also emphasize very, very heavily the concept of risk management. One of the things that people don't really know about the stock market is that you can actually set rules on how much of your money you want to actually risk. So for example, if you enter a trade and you say, I'm only willing to risk $50 on this trade, then we can set up your trade so that's all you lose. What happens with people who don't have the knowledge, unfortunately, is that they enter trades with no plan of how to get out, or with no plan of how to, take their profit. So all of that is built into the program, how to build what we call a trading plan. A trading plan says, I'm going to get in here, I'm going to cut my losses here, my small loss here, and I'm going to take my profit here. So I teach all that in the program. I also teach trading what's called options. That's a little bit more sophisticated strategy, but options are very popular because it's a way you can make more money using less capital. I also teach how to make money when the stock market is falling. So for a good example, like today, the stock market kind of jumped up overnight. And it was, when we woke up this morning, it was really high, but then it started to go down. So I teach the strategy on how to make money when the stock market is coming down also. So really you can make money in any market, whether the stock market is going up or down, you can make money as long as you know how. Because I know that's what scares people a lot. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I just, I see on the news that the stock market is down and all these things. So I want to make 2 points about what happens when the stock market is coming down. Number one, when the stock market is coming down, you can still make money if you know how. And then number two, you know this as well. When the stock market comes out, guess what? Stocks are on sale. Stocks
Sale
are on
time.
sale.
I just spotted a sale the other day. I was like, "Ooh, let's get some."
It's sale time. It's sale time. So you really, if you know what to do, then no matter what, you can still be winning for the shorter term or for the longer term.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Thanks for pointing that out. That's basically how the Stock Sisterhood works. So where do you get these people? Can anybody join your program, or you have a specific place?
No, anybody really, anybody who's willing to try and willing to put in the time. Anybody really. And the program is only for women, and I did this deliberately because I feel like men, they have access to this stuff through maybe their friends or something like that, but women are just, I think, maybe feel a little more intimidated. So really it is my passion to just pull women into this and show women that, hey, we can do this. When women do well, they tend to uplift their communities, right?
Yes.
They tend to uplift their community.
Exactly.
So that's why I really like to focus on women. So anybody can join at all. The only criteria is to be a woman.
Okay, that sounds good. And I love that, what you said, because what you said about women uplifting their communities, that is one of the reasons why I decided to work with women as well, because I realized that, once the women are doing well, they're going to cater to the children, they're going to cater to their spouses or partners, and the whole family will be uplifted, and then the community. So that's how I was thinking with the whole thing. Yeah, women have so much power that we just don't tap into a lot of times, but we are so powerful. So it's women helping women to unleash the power that is within. And that's what I love about financial education, teaching women about investing and all this other stuff. I mean, it's just so empowering, because when you're able to teach these women, I'm sure that they don't feel the same.
I do agree that once you learn how to make money, you actually never really be the same. So Ruth, I could make $10,000 myself, right? But I would not be as happy as I am when one of my students makes $100 or $200, simply because I know that I've imparted that power to somebody. I've imparted that power to somebody. So it's no longer about me. I could be trading. I can trade, right? But after a while, what else is there almost, right? But when I teach other people, it just makes me so happy. So I had a student make $14,000 in a day. That was probably one of the best days of my life.
That's awesome.
That was one of the best days of my life, because think about what you can do with 14,000 bucks in a single day. Pay off your debt. You could buy a new car.
Yes.
You could do all these things from just, your profit in a single day. So to me, those are the moments that just put me seriously like on top of the world. When my students make money, I'm skipping around my house because I'm literally skipping around my house. I'm literally skipping around my house because I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. I just love it. And once you do have a really good win, and it improves self-confidence, you know that as well. When a woman finds out that, I think I can really do this. I mean, their self-confidence goes up to the roof. And self-confidence helps in the workplace, it helps in your parenting, it helps in your marriage, all these things.
Yes, that's so awesome. I love it. I love your excitement.
I know, I'm
That's what
so
it's all
excited.
about. That's what it's all about, being in a service role, being a servant. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing. It's an honor, because when you see people win, you're genuinely happy. And I can tell that you are genuinely happy about helping people. So that's awesome. And you know what? You're winning too, when they
1,000%.
so,
1,000%. Actually, when they win, I actually win more,
right.
because I'm just, honestly, I really do. I actually win more. And I just love it. I just love it.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So let's go back to talking about some of our dreams or aspirations we talked about earlier. We kind of mentioned, what are some of the things that you've been able to do other than quit your job and not have to hide from your daughter?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've been able to do now that you're trading full time?
My biggest thing is travel and being able to just have time off, because I'm originally from Africa. So I'm from Zambia. My husband's from Kenya. So we have family outside the country. So it was always so stressful to try to get time off, because in corporate America, they give you 3 weeks or 4 weeks if you're 4 or 5 weeks or whatever, and that's barely enough time just to go visit one set of parents.
Right.
What about the other country? And then I just love to travel. Actually, how I kind of fell into trading is because I was trying to start a travel blog, and go figure, I started it right before COVID hit.
Wow.
So through kind of like the travel spaces, when I found out that people trade for an income, and that's how I ended up taking the class. So absolute travel is absolutely number one. We were able to spend about 6 to 7 weeks in Africa last week. Just it's not last week, last summer, just seeing parents, seeing family. I've been to so many countries. I have so much travel lined up for this year already. Simply because I don't have to ask anybody for time off. And then secondly, I can trade anywhere in the world as long as I have an internet connection.
Right.
So it's not like, if I leave the US, then I'm not going to be able to make money. I can make money from anywhere on the globe as long as I have an internet connection. So the ability to make money anywhere, and for sure, not having to ask somebody for time off is the biggest joy ever.
Yes, I can relate to that. So for me, I love to travel as well, but one of the perks for me is just asking someone for time off so you can be with your family. I take care of my mom, as you already know, and I can't imagine having to ask someone for time off to take her to a doctor's appointment.
Right.
To be with her in the hospital, or to be with one of my children that's ill, or something like, or just hang out with my daughter who lives over an hour away. Like, I don't need to ask for permission. It's just that freedom, that time freedom. And I think that's the biggest, I don't know, maybe not for everybody, but for me, that's the biggest thing. Like, I like things, but I'm less of a things person. Me, it's time to have experiences and do whatever I want. Like, honestly, that's what it's all about when it comes to building wealth. For me, it's about having time freedom. Like, honestly, that is the biggest thing for me. So I can see that for you, that's also a value, because you have the time available to do whatever you want to do, whether you want to travel or you just want to.
No, absolutely. And another thing too, I want to tell you too, so my daughter is 14 now, the one with autism. For years, I was so stressed out about what would happen when she reached puberty. Because I didn't know how I was going to manage that. I didn't know how she was going to manage. So in my previous role, I commuted about 45 minutes to a job. So it was always a stressor to think about, oh my goodness, if the school calls me, I have to consider getting on the freeway and, heading home if my boss allows it, right? So those things that, if you have a child that needs a little bit extra, or if you have parents that need extra, it honestly can be a nightmare to think about, time off. You end up feigning sickness just so you can be off. You end up just doing all these things just to have the time to take care of your family, if your family needs a little bit extra help. So number one, absolutely, I was terrified of my daughter reaching puberty while I'm still working at a job and don't have the time to attend to it. So that absolutely, I'm so happy that I don't have to worry about that. And I can see my parent, freedom, time is, owning your time is just absolutely invaluable. And you're like you, I don't need cars, I don't need bags and shoes and all that stuff. Give me my time.
Yes, that's what I want. That's what I want, my time. And it's just amazing. I loved hearing your story when you first told it to me, and even now, because, these are things that people kind of take for granted, like being a woman, and especially moms. It's just so much burden on our shoulders that lots of women don't have enough to retire on. I speak to women all the time. They they don't even want to talk about retirement because they know that their 401k is not going to cut it, or they don't even want to think about whether or not it's going to cut it. And the fact is that you just didn't work enough hours because you had to take care of sick children, or you were giving birth and had to be home for a while. Or, there's so many things that affect us as women. So it's great to know that we have different ways that we can build wealth and without burning out. We don't have to work 2011 jobs, 50 side hustles, all the things, no sleep to build wealth. There's so many ways that we can do it. Work smarter, not harder. And I'm so grateful today that you were able to share what you do with my audience. It's not something that I talk about usually on this channel because that's not my area of expertise. So I love it when I can have someone on that's a professional in that area that can talk about it and shed light on the different options that women have. So it's not just, you have to take on another job, or you have to work another some odd hours at your job to make the income that you need to sustain your life, or even live a better life, live a better lifestyle, or even have that wiggle room so that if something were to happen, you don't have to be a slave to your job and have to decide like, oh, do I go with my family or do I stay here? Like, that's not even a question when you have that cushioning, when you have that, when you have your wealth growing for you and you know that you have that freedom, then you don't have to make those tough decisions. They're not tough decisions. You can just go ahead and be like, I'm going to be with my kids. I can't come in tomorrow. So it's
no,
great.
1000%, 1000%. And I wanted to add too, people tend to think the stock market is for people who have a lot of money and people who have trust funds and all that.
Right.
And I want to say that the stock market is available for anyone who's willing to try. And in the beginning, you don't have to have lofty goals like a Lamborghini or sailing, stay in the south of France for a month or anything like that. You don't have to have lofty goals like that. I have students who start with a goal of making $50 a day. If you can make $50 a day, that's $250 a week. That's the daycare bill. That's the school trip, right? That's gas and groceries for the week or whatever. So you don't have to have these huge lofty goals. You could be somebody who's just looking for breathing room in your budget, or as you talked about, something to tide you over from one job to another. For example, if you're in a toxic job situation, you may stay there because you're like, oh my gosh, well, how am I going to make any money? If you have a skill or if you have a pot that can tide you over, it makes life so much more pleasant and not as stressful.
Definitely, for sure. Thank you so much for saying that. It was just so nice having you on. This has been a great conversation. I hope I can have you on again in the future if you're willing to come
anytime,
back.
Anytime.
This is really awesome. You're a great mom, great businesswoman, and you own your own time. And hey, it doesn't get better than that in my book. So thank you so much, Monga, for being here, giving us your knowledge, and just let my audience know where they can find you.
Okay, wonderful. So you can find me on Instagram at the Stock Sisterhood, the Stock Sisterhood on Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. My first name is Monga, last name Abila. I'm still going through the processes of making my business more visible. So there'll be more ways to find me, but really those are the two, probably the two easiest ways to find me. And then you can also email hello@thestocksisterhood.com, hello@thestocksisterhood.com. And I'm sure you're going to have some of that information available for the viewers to see as well.
Yes, I will be putting that information in the description. So if anybody wants to reach out to Monga, definitely check the description. I always have some things in there for you guys. So check in there, I have links, all sorts of links, but definitely check her out. Thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you got a lot of value from that. It was really awesome to have Monga in the building. So if you are a high achieving mom and you want to make better choices with your money so that you can build wealth and leave a legacy for your children, then go ahead and check out my link in the description and set up a call with me, a free breakthrough call, so we can figure out whether or not we'd be a good fit to work together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.